I almost just started doing Kiki's Delivery Service. No, wait. It's not this one. It's the other one. It's this one. Hi book nerds, welcome back to Book Club, and today we are going to be discussing Much Ado About Nothing by William Shakespeare. Look at that, it's so cute. It's so tiny though. It's such a quick, easy read. Well, it's not an easy read, it's Shakespeare, but you know, it's a small play. All the plays are super easy to read, I feel like, well, except for maybe Hamlet. I almost said Hamilton. No, Hamlet. But this is one of my favorite plays. I've read this play before. I've seen the movie, and honestly, this is just like one of the funniest plays I've ever read. I don't read a lot of plays, so that's not very hard to do, but I have read Midsummer Night's Dream. Anyway, Much Ado About Nothing. I'm blanking so much on this. I originally read this book when I was in college. I took a Shakespeare comedies class, and I also took a Shakespeare tragedy class. So it's like, it was tragedies in history and comedies and romance kind of thing. So I took this during the comedies class, and this was just so much fun to read, and it was so hilarious, especially because as we were reading, we got to learn the context behind it, so then we were actually able to see like the genius that was like Shakespeare's writing, because context is everything when you're reading old text like this. And it's not just for like Shakespeare, but also for like classics that were written years and years ago on why they were so important, or why things are funny, or why things were hurtful, and all that kind of stuff. So this has a back of the blurb, which y'all know I love me some back of the blurb stuff. So back of the blurb, Much Ado About Nothing, William Shakespeare. Much Ado About Nothing is unusual among Shakespeare's plays in that it was written almost entirely in prose, and very good prose it is. It is a story of reluctant love and sexual confrontation between Beatrice and Benedict on the one hand, and the classical love of Claudio for Hero on the other. Full of dramatic speed and high humor, Much Ado About Nothing is a mature comedy with a record of consistent theatrical success. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that so nice? And I genuinely think this is like just the funniest thing ever to read, but then also when you watch the movie, I can't remember when it came out, but I think it was like in the 90s. But like when the movie came out, it was also just hilarious to watch while trying to read this, because then you get to see how the play is supposed to be acted out, or how it can be interpreted to be acted out. And what I would love to see more of is just modern versions of this, because I don't think I've found a modern version of this yet. And honestly, I don't know if there can be one. But anyway, let's get into the main characters. This will be so much fun. I'm gonna laugh the entire time. What's really fun about this is that this is like an actual like play. So there we go. We have the characters right here, and we have like the setting, Messina, which I think is in Italy. So we actually have like the full list of characters that are. So the scene is in Messina. I don't know how to say it. I'm 95% sure this is in Italy. Characters in the play: Don Pedro, which is the Prince of Aragon. Don John is his bastard brother. Claudio, a young lord of Florence. Benedict, a young lord of Padua. Leonato, the governor of Messina. Antonio, an old man, Leonato's brother. Balthazar, a singer in service of Don Pedro. Borachio and Conrad, followers of Don John, a messenger. Friar Francis. Dogberry, a constable. Verges, a head burrow. First watchman, second watchman, a sexton, a boy, a lord. Hero, daughter of Leonato. Beatrice, niece to Leonato. Margaret, Ursula, waiting gentlewoman to Hero. And then Antonio's son, musicians, watchmen, attendants, etc. Which is basically like the background characters. The characters are just basically props of the scene. So the main characters is Don Pedro, Benedict, Beatrice, and Hero. Those are like the main characters. Side characters would be Don John, Dogberry, Antonio, and I don't have my glasses on. Leonato. It should not have been that hard. It's right there. I literally have the list right here in front of me. It should not have been that hard to remember these characters' names. But yeah. It's such a fun book. And this didn't take me that long to read. I mean, it's super short. It's a short book in general. And it's just mostly dialogue. So there was some words that I did have to look up, but it also comes with an index in the back for types of words. So if you ever like see a word that you're not familiar with, there is an index back here that you can look for, but I just Googled it. So this took me maybe 2 days to read, mostly because I first started reading it at night and then I went to karaoke at a bar. So then I brought this to the bar with me and I was just reading it in the bar while I was waiting for my turn for karaoke. And I think my friends were low-key judging me just a little bit of how much I was just out, because I was at a bar, I was there for karaoke, and I'm just in the corner with a drink doing this. So I think they had just a little bit of judginess, but it's fine. They also thought it was hilarious and they loved it. I think people should bring more books to bars, especially if you're going alone, because then I feel like nothing screams more of leave me alone than headphones and a book. And if you're watching this and you don't seem to realize that headphones and a book means leave me alone, then guess what? Now you know what it means. It means leave them alone. It's not an invitation for someone to come up and be like, oh my god, hi, I'm so-and-so, you look so cool. What book? No, if they're reading in their own little world, they want to be in their own little world. Now, if you see someone just off to the side, not doing anything, no headphones, no book, not on their phone, then you could go up to them and talk to them. Go talk to those people. leave the readers alone. I've been interrupted so many times while reading, just reading anywhere, and it's just always so annoying. Like, no, I don't want to make conversation. That's why I have a book. Because you have to intentionally bring a book somewhere with you. That's... I feel like I'm not making sense, but I am making sense. I make sense to me, but never to anyone else, and it can be frustrating for me. Anyway, I went on a little tangent. My apologies, everyone. The main characters, Hero, Claude, Benedict, Beatrice. Side characters, Antonio, Leonato, Dogberry, Don John. And I don't know why Don Pedro and Don John have like similar names. I think it's because they're half brothers, but oh yeah. Don Pedro, also a main character. I keep forgetting about him because he's not one of the main couples. But he is part of the bigger friend group, I should say. Friend group? He's the prince. He's the prince. Of course he's going to be one of the main characters. Alright, let's get into this crazy, hilarious plot that is Much Ado About Nothing. So the reason why the play is called Much Ado About Nothing is because quite literally, nothing really happens, which is kind of ironic because there is in fact a plot. Stuff does happen in the play, but it's really nothing. Like, nothing really happens. Like, it's not something big, it's not something that's gonna, you know, be like, I don't know how else to explain it, because this is how my professor explained it, is that the reason why it's called Much Ado About Nothing is that nothing really happens. Think of it as Seinfeld. I don't know how exactly you say it. I'm more of a Friends fan, so in the show Seinfeld, they don't really do anything during the show. It's just them going about their lives. That's kind of what this is. It's just them going about their lives, but one of them is getting married. So it's kind of like that, but a little more dramatic. So let's get into the plot. So the story starts with Claudio, Benedict, Don Pedro, and Don John are coming back from battle, war, whichever one it is, to the city, Messina, I don't know how to say it, where they meet the governor, Leonato, who announces their arrival, and immediately Claudio, I keep saying Claude, but it's Claudio. Claudio is infatuated with Hero upon first sighting, upon meeting her, and she is very much of like, oh, hi, oh my god, hi. So, while Beatrice, her cousin, is absolutely just, no, absolutely not, because Benedict is there, and it's kind of insinuated that Benedict and Beatrice did kind of have something, but Beatrice absolutely hates Benedict, Benedict hates Beatrice, and they're both on the same verge of like, why are you getting married? Getting married sucks. And they both say that to Hero and to Claudio in their own ways. Just kind of like, because Claudio wants to marry Hero, and Hero wants to marry Claudio. So, in an attempt to get them together, the prince, Don Pedro, is like, hey, let's throw a party, and at the party, I'll kind of flirt with Hero, she'll get married to me, but she'll actually be getting married to you, and, I'll basically put in a good word for you, and all this kind of stuff. So, which he does, to which Hero and Claudio then get together. They are now engaged. They're going to have a wedding within the next few days. And during this whole, dancing ball scene, is that Benedict and Beatrice are in, masks and costumes, so they don't really notice or realize that they're within each other's vicinity. So they kind of talk trash to each other without realizing, kind of thing. And it's hilarious. I love it so much. I love Beatrice. She's, my favorite character in this. And then after kind of realizing that, not realizing, but she talks shit to about Benedict to Benedict, but she doesn't realize it's Benedict. And Benedict kind of does the same thing to her. And she's more somber about, her life and realization of, just how, because, in the scene, and there is a scene where her and Don Pedro are alone, and Don Pedro offers to marry her. And Don Pedro is a prince. He is royalty, he's this super important guy, and Beatrice, explains to him, I am different from Hero, I am not technically her cousin, I am not Lenato's niece, I am a bastard child from this one person, and they took me in, and they raised me like their own, but I am actually just this kind of person. And Don Pedro, he's very sympathetic. He's very much of I'm not really interested in getting married to people, but I feel for you, I empathize with you, and if it will make you feel better, I will marry you, because I know you are a smart, capable, loving, wonderful person. And Beatrice, being the type of person she is, tells him, no, you don't have to do that for me. You should marry someone that you truly want to get married to, and not just because you feel sorry for me or empathize with me, but the offer's appreciated. And I love that scene just so much, because it's such a quick scene. It's so quick that you don't really realize it, but it's just adorable. Anyway, so after the ball, the group decides it would be a fun idea if they tricked Beatrice and Benedict to fall in love with each other. And how they do this is hilarious. They decide to fake gossip about the other person loving that one. It's Leonato, Don Pedro, and Claudio. They're walking around in the gardens when they know Benedict is not out of earshot, but out of sight. And while he's in earshot, he's kind of listening in on their conversation, and they're all like, oh, have you heard about Lady Beatrice and how infatuated she is with Benedict? Yes, she's very infatuated. In fact, she was saying so many things about why she was infatuated with him. Claudio, tell us those things again. And Claudio's like, yes, well, it was so many things. She loves him, she adores him, she's infatuated with him. Isn't that right, Don Pedro, your highness? And it's really obvious fake lying about the gossip. And when they leave, because they're like, oh, we mustn't tell Benedict, or Beatrice will be so embarrassed, and well, we must go back to the dinner. And they go back inside, and Benedict's like, wow, she loves me. She loves me. And it's having this philosophical, pondering thought of yeah, she likes me. And it's so funny because Beatrice goes out to get him for dinner, and she's holding a steak knife during this, and he's very much oh, cheers, cup. what's up? And he's trying to act all cool, and she's very much not interested in him. She still hates him. She's just like, I am forced to call you to dinner. He's like, oh, you've come to call me for dinner. How wonderful. And she's like, what is wrong with you? And then she leaves. But then the same thing happens to her with Hero and her maids and ladies in waiting. Her Ursula and I forgot what the other lady in waiting name was. I think it was Margaret and Ursula. She's walking with them in the garden, and Beatrice is, you know, within earshot but out of sight, and they start doing the same thing, like, oh, did you hear how much Benedict loves Beatrice, but is so scared of telling her, and he loves her because Margaret knows why he loves her. And they did the same thing, and she's like, he loves me. He loves me. He loves me. And so that's how they fall in love with each other, is through the fake gossip. and I've seen the movie. In the movie, it's so hilarious. I think it's so hilarious how they do it. Like, the acting, it's good acting of bad acting, and it's great. I love it. And sorry, every time I think about it, I just kind of chuckle to myself. I kind of just always laugh, and I have to explain why I'm laughing, because it's like, it's just so funny, and I have to show it to people, or I have to make people read it. So after that, Benedict and Beatrice kind of dance around each other, type of thing. And later that night, Don John, which is Don Pedro's bastard brother, decides to cause mischief. So with his two companions, Conrad and I already forgot what is the other man's name? I'm forgetting names already. It's Conrad and Boratio. Conrad and Boratio, Boratio sleeps with Margaret, and they're sleeping in Hero's room by the windowsill, and while Margaret is calling out Boratio's name, Boratio calls her Hero. And as they're doing this, Don John, Don Pedro, and Claudio are walking past at that moment and just going like, hey, isn't that your fiance sleeping with someone else and like losing her virginity to someone else? Which, holy hell, uproar. So the next day is the wedding, and everything's going as planned, and Claudio wants Hero to admit that she was sleeping around. Hero is obviously innocent and doesn't say anything, to which Claudio calls her a certain garden tool in front of everyone, including her uncle, her father, the friar there, and her cousin, and just everyone there. And everything's in an uproar, and he storms off, and Don Pedro storms off, and they just all leave. They just go bye-bye. And she's crying, and her father's yelling at her, and is just going like, I'll kill you myself, like, what were you thinking, blah, blah, blah. And then the friar's like, nope, she's innocent. I can see it in her eyes. I have seen many maidens who are certain garden tools, but this maiden is not a garden tool. So they're like, okay, she's innocent. What do we do now? So what they end up doing is that Hero fakes her death. She died of a broken heart. They go the whole 10 yards of doing the funeral rites and everything like that to make it seem like she has in fact passed away. During all of this, Beatrice is like, my cousin is innocent. I know she's innocent and she did not deserve this, and she's so upset she's crying. Benedict is, obviously they love each other. They were tricked into loving each other, and Benedict is remorseful towards Beatrice, and they admit their love to each other. And Beatrice will only love Benedict back if Benedict challenges Claudio to a duel and kills him. And Benedict is like, and Beatrice is like, if you don't do it, obviously you don't love me. So, a bit of a toxic relationship there. And he kind of does end up agreeing, like, yes, I will challenge him to a duel, to which we will fight to the death. And she's very happy about it. She goes, I will only admit my love for you once he is actually dead, or once my cousin is proven innocent. Like, either way, she's like, I will only tell you I love you if something happens. And Benedict doesn't actually want to kill Claudio, but he does want Beatrice to love him, so he ends up writing her a love letter. And Beatrice wants to love Benedict, but the grievances against her cousin are too great to bear, and she ends up writing a love letter to Benedict in case he doesn't go through with it, or just to kind of write out her feelings kind of thing. So during this, the constable Dogberry, which is the policeman, he ends up catching Conrad and Horatio. Don John has fled. He left. He ran off. No one knows where he is at this point. But they catch, like, his two men, and he's trying to talk to them. He's trying to interrogate them, like, what have you done, and that kind of thing. Like, what are you doing here? Like, it's supposed to be a wonderful, holy day. It's a marriageable day, and all that kind of stuff. And Dogberry talks in such roundabout ways. It's hilarious trying to read it, and then watching it on screen is even funnier. And the men are like, we've sinned, like, we feel terrible about doing something so horrible. And they're like, well, what did you do? And the men, Conrad and Horatio, are like, we faked everything. And so that young woman, who is now dead, did not deserve to die because it was just a prank gone wrong. And so Dogberry is like, we're going to go to the governor, we're going to go to Lenato and Antonio, and we're going to tell them all this. And Lenato knows that Hero is still alive. Antonio does not, and Antonio is Hero's cousin, and is furious with Claudio and Don Pedro, because he's like, they killed her, they did this, like, my niece, my beautiful, loving niece, kind of thing. You know, it's his family, he's upset. Lenato's trying to keep him calm, but the moment that Claudio and Don Pedro walk into the room, Antonio basically jumps the table to try to throttle their throats. And Lenato is, like, desperately holding on to them, like, no, this is still a prince. I'm also angry at them, but this is still a prince, and that is the prince's best friend. You cannot hurt them. So, as this is happening, you know, Claudio and Don Pedro are like, we're gonna be leaving soon, we're gonna be taking our men and leaving soon. Sorry this had to happen, sorry you had to learn out the truth about your daughter and what kind of garden tool she was. So, but then Dogberry comes in with Conrad and Horatio, and they admit their sins, that everything was faked and that she died for nothing. And they're admitting this in front of Antonio, Lenato, Don Pedro, and Claudio, and it's like, Don John is the one that had us do this, and we did lie, we were following his orders, and blah blah blah. And there's the part of the scene is that when Dogberry was interrogating the two men, one of them called him an ass. And so at the end of all that, while Dogberry's explaining everything, and in such a roundabout way, he goes at the end of like, and I am an ass. And it's just hilarious. It's one of my favorite things. I'm not able to articulate it perfectly, but it's just in my head. I know the scene, and it's hilarious. So Don Pedro and Claudio, I almost called him Don John, no, it's Claudio. They're very remorseful. They are so absolutely like, oh my goodness, we just killed this innocent girl over a joke because she died of heartbreak. And so they're begging Lenato and Antonio for forgiveness. What can they do to forgive? And Lenato basically looks at Claudio and goes, marry my niece. And it's just kind of like silence, because it's like, your niece is Beatrice. It's like, yeah. You're gonna marry my niece. Like, so he gets ready for the marriage, and at this time, Benedict so during all of that, Benedict did also go up to Claudio and Don Pedro before they found out and was like, hey, I'm gonna beat you up, and I'm gonna try and kill you because you did kind of ruin, like, my love's sister, basically, and you did kill her, and blah blah blah. So, but at the wedding, when Claudio has to marry the niece, which is Beatrice, what he sees instead is Hero alive and well, and claiming that she's their other niece, which is just kind of like, we got you. Like, this is like, that was your karma, was thinking that you killed the girl that you loved. And so at the end of that, Claudio and Hero get married, and Benedict and Beatrice, they're not really together yet, but then it is admitted that they had love letters for each other, and they ended up reading what the other wrote, and was like, oh, we're in love, we'll also get married at the same time. And then at the end of the marriage, they're all dancing together, and Claudio asks Don Pedro, hey, what's gonna happen to Don John because he ran off? And Don Pedro just kind of goes, oh, after all of this, we're gonna find him and he's going to suffer the consequences of his actions. But for now, you guys just got married, we're gonna dance, we're gonna sing, and we're gonna have a grand old time. And then that is the end of the movie. Not the movie, the play. I keep thinking of the movie every time I was talking about this, but the movie actually goes with the play very well. Like, when I was reading this in college, we were watching the movie alongside it because my professor said that it's easier to understand Shakespeare plays if you're also watching it while you're reading it. So to watch the actors act, to hear the words be pronounced, and to read it as well, because then you're also getting the stuff that you're missing from the movie. So but yeah, that was the plot. It's very much everything and nothing, so Much Ado About Nothing. The title kind of makes more sense, just a little bit. But yeah, that was that was the chaotic, hilarious plot of it. Alright, so for my final personal thoughts on this is the funniest play I have read from William Shakespeare, and I've read a couple of, well, I'm not gonna say a couple of them, I've read probably more than most people have in their lifetime. I've read Romeo and Juliet, Midsummer Night's Dream, Macbeth, Hamlet, King Lear, Much Ado About Nothing. I've read more. I literally took 2 Shakespeare classes where we read like 10 plays each. I can't remember. But yeah, funniest play. This is the play that stuck out to me the most out of all of it. This one, for the comedies, I should say. This was the play that stuck out the most to me for the comedies. I also love Midsummer Night's Dream. That was also a great one. Hamlet is the one from the tragedies that I linked onto the most, but I really liked it. I enjoyed it. Benedict and Beatrice's interactions are my favorite interactions of the book because for the most part she's insulting him, and then the other half is just them kind of going like, oh, they like me, I must look presentable for them, excuse me. But other than that, Beatrice is like my favorite character because she was ready to throw hands with Benedict the moment she saw him. She was like, well, I gotta fight him. I gotta fight him. So 5 out of 5. I would definitely recommend, I would just recommend this in general. I would recommend to either watch the movie or to read this. If you are new to Shakespeare, I don't know what Shakespeare play would be the easiest for you to start off with, but I would highly recommend reading this if you feel like you can get a handle on it, I guess. Like, I don't know, I feel like everyone should read this play or know of this play at least once, maybe twice or 50 times in their lifetime. I called it a winter read, which basically, so I live in Alaska, and in the summertime, we have the midnight sun. It's light all night, all day. And in the wintertime, especially where I live, surrounded by mountains, we get maybe 3.5 hours of direct sunlight. So this is definitely a good winter depression book to lift your spirits because it's just funny. And the movie is even better because it's so lively, it's so colorful. The actors are great with their physical comedy and their words, very quick and fast and witty. And it's a fun, uplifting classic read, I guess. And for most classics, from what I understand, what I have read, they're not very uplifting to the extent that you would think they are. So, but yes, that has been Much Ado About Nothing. So, book nerds, thank you so much for watching this, and I think the next book I'm going to be discussing next week is going to be something even more lighthearted, a children's read, and a beloved Studio Ghibli movie, Kiki's Delivery Service. I'm actually really excited to talk about you because I love the movie, and I also love the book. Well, I'm going to love the book, I should say. But this was Much Ado About Nothing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next chapter. Bye!